Today we are taking more control over the food that we put in our bodies. So we're going to be making some more pantry mixes, some sour cream, and some yogurt. We're also going to be taking a trip to the store and see what we can get for our long-term pantry storage and show you some of the ways we store ours. One of the things that prompted me to make my own sour cream and yogurt is this listeria outbreak and the recalls on all these products. And truth be told, I'm glad that I finally gave this a try because the sour cream tasted absolutely delicious and it's very easy. So I didn't follow an exact recipe, but I will walk you through and show you what I did. Now I had a little under a cup of Daisy sour cream, and I'm using Daisy sour cream because that's my favorite sour cream, and I was just hoping that it would taste like Daisy sour cream. I'm using Daisy sour cream, but I'm sure that you can use other brands as well, as long as they're just made with nothing but dairy ingredients and no preservatives would probably work out best. Okay, I used about 3 cups of this heavy whipping cream, but you don't have to use as much as I did. I just wanted to make, a large batch. And I used just almost a cup of the Daisy sour cream. It wasn't even a full cup. And stirred it up real good. And I'm gonna place it in this double boiler method I have going on over here. And I'm heating this up to around 85 degrees. Once it reaches around 85 degrees, take it off the heat, cover it, and put it in a warm place. I didn't want to try the oven method, but you certainly can. But I use my oven a lot, so I didn't really, it wasn't convenient, I guess you can say, for me. So I put it on my counter and I put it next to my dehydrator, and that kept it at a temperature of probably around between 85 degrees. And let me tell you, it's working out fantastic. This right here is 6 hours later, and it's already starting to get super thick and creamy and smelling just like sour cream. Now, I ended up giving this taste, and it didn't have like that tanginess yet, so I'm gonna let it sit for a little longer. It's good, but it's not as tart as I want it. So I ended up covering it back up and wrapping it back up in the towel and just letting it go overnight and then checking it in the morning. See you in the morning. And oh my goodness, this just made my day. Look how thick this turned out. Now, mind you, this hasn't even been in the refrigerator yet, so this is gonna thicken up really nice. Let's taste it. That tastes perfect. Into the fridge it goes. Now, I had it in the fridge for probably about 3 hours, and this is how it turned out. This was probably the best sour cream that I've ever had, and I'm not just saying that. This was actually the best. Does it taste like Daisy sour cream? Mm-hmm. Because that's the culture that I used, and it's thick, like sour cream, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Now let's move on and making our multi-purpose chai spice mix. So we're going to be using some ground nutmeg, some ground ginger, some cardamom. Now, this is the only thing that I didn't have that I had to go purchase at the store. And it's kind of pricey, so just let you know. I think this was like $8 or $9 for this bottle. So I'm going to have to find other uses for this cardamom powder because that's a lot. Now, and then we're also going to be using some ground cloves, some allspice, some cinnamon, some sugar, a cup of sugar, and a cup of milk powder. So we got a cup of sugar. Oh, I don't think we're gonna be able to fit it in this jar, maybe. I don't know. Okay, we need a bigger jar. I'm always trying to do it in the smallest of my jars, but it's not gonna work out. Put it in a quart-sized jar so everything will fit. Okay. All recipes will be in the description box below this video, as always, but I will also give it on the video as well. And that is, I'm using 2 teaspoons of allspice, 2 teaspoons of ground cloves, 4 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 2 teaspoons of nutmeg, 2 teaspoons of cardamom, 1 cup of powdered milk, and 1 cup of sugar. This is one of my favorite spice mixes now that I keep on hand in a mason jar. I'm gonna give this a shake. Oh, I wish you guys could smell it. It smells amazing. Now you're gonna use 2 teaspoons in a cup of tea, like black tea, whatever tea you prefer. Today I'm using, it's a mix of black and orange tea. So put 2 teaspoons. You can use this spice mix is so versatile. You can do so many different things with this spice mix. You can make banana bread, you can make French toast, apple butter, oatmeal cookies, cold brew coffee, roasted squash, some carrot cake, some rice pudding, and even ice cream. For this recipe, I'm using a yogurt from the store as my starter culture, since it's easy for me to obtain. Now this has live active cultures in it, and some of the more processed brands do not contain live bacteria, so they probably won't work. Now I'm just using about a quart of milk, and I'm gonna heat it up in my saucepan until it comes up to a boil and reaches about 180 to 185 degrees. Then I'm gonna cut the heat off and then set it aside and let it cool down to around 110 to 120 degrees. And then I'm just pouring it into this quart-sized jar, and then I'm gonna add my culture, making sure and testing it to make sure that it's not too hot before I put my yogurt in this jar, because you can kill your culture by doing that. So see, I'm just using a tablespoon and I'm scooping out about 2 tablespoons into the jar. And I did overfill this, but I seem to do that a lot. But I take out probably like 3 scoops of the foaminess that was on top, and then I just give it a quick stir. Now I put a lid on it, and then I do the same thing that I did with the sour cream, and I wrapped it up in a towel, and I set it by my dehydrator. And this kept the temperature in there probably around between 100 and, you want to keep it around 100, around about 100 degrees. Now you want to let this set for about 8 to 12 hours, and until you basically like the taste of the yogurt is basically what you need to do. So after 8 hours, I checked it and smelled it, of course, because I just can't help myself, I guess. And I noticed that it was looking, it kind of reminded me of like a cottage, or maybe no, a ricotta cheese is how it was looking after 8 hours. So I put the lid back on and I wrapped it back up and I let it go again for another 6 hours. And then I checked it again, and it kind of still looked the same, like a kind of like a ricotta cheese, but it was thicker. So I just decided to, give it another whiff and check it out and see, try to determine if that was going to be good for me. And I really didn't like how it was like clumpy like this, because I like my yogurt smooth. But this, I don't know, I see the texture of it, it reminded me of a ricotta cheese. But the taste was really good, and it was just like eating, Greek yogurt. So I decided to get my immersion blender out and blitz this up to get it nice and smooth, but I almost made a big no-no there. So I ended up taking some of this out first and putting it in another jar before I go mixing it up, because it was pretty full. And after I get it nice and smooth, I'm gonna pop it in the fridge overnight so that way it can give it time to thicken up really nice. Now, the next morning, I was actually really excited to get up and check to see if my yogurt solidified and see how the texture was, because I really wanted this to work. And to my delight, it was thick and creamy and everything that I wanted it to do. I was so excited. I was overjoyed that I had just made yogurt. I never thought that I could make yogurt. And this is from a store-bought cultured yogurt, and it tastes amazing. There are a million ways to make yogurt, and everyone, seems to have their favorite method. Crock pot yogurt maker, I mean, you name it. If you haven't tried to make your own yogurt, give it a go. I did, and I will always make my yogurt now. This next recipe is one of my favorite banana muffin recipes now. It's a chai banana muffin, and they tasted absolutely fantastic. Now, this is a great recipe because this is a one bowl recipe. You don't have to get multiple bowls out to do this. And if you don't have a stand mixer like this, you can also just use, a regular handheld mixer. Will work just fine. So with this recipe, you're just going to want to mix all of the wet ingredients together first, and then, add in your dry ingredients. Now I'm going to take you guys through and show you everything that I did. So I added the baking soda in there, and then 2 teaspoons of the chai mix in the wet ingredients. You don't have to do this. This is just what I did on this day. Now, once I added in the rest of the dry ingredients, I only mixed this for 30 seconds. That's how long it took for me to get everything well combined. You don't want to overmix this, because then you'll end up having like a tough muffin. So I'll go over the recipe with you guys. I used 2 ripe bananas, a teaspoon of vanilla, a half a cup of oil, a third of a cup sugar, a third cup brown sugar, a third cup milk, 1 large egg, 1.5 teaspoons baking soda, 1 3/4 cup flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, and a third cup of the chai mix. You're gonna preheat your oven to about 375 degrees. Now this makes 12 muffins, 12 fairly large muffins. You're gonna cook these for 25 to 30 minutes, or until, if you insert a toothpick inside of the muffins, it comes out clean. And I'm also using these silicone, they're called Trudeau silicone muffin tins. And my mom bought these for me as a gift, and I love them. The muffins come out so easy. Now all I'm doing here is making a really, really fast and simple icing for my muffins. And I'm using about a cup of powdered sugar and a teaspoon of the chai mix. Then I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons of milk and just give it a good stir until it's all well incorporated. You can also add vanilla or butter to this, and that also tastes really good. But I wanted something fast and easy. So you see how these came out? These come out just perfect. And look at the inside. They're so nice and moist on the inside. These are delicious. Now, I was gonna try to make this like a pretty little pattern on the top, but yeah, I gave up on that and just started dipping them right in. And they all turned out really nice. These were so delicious. In fact, I wanted this mix, on hand, so I decided to make a chai muffin mix in a jar. And yeah, I love really fast mixes. I don't like to have to pull everything out all the time. So I came up with just this really fast mix that you can whip up really fast. And I'm basically just using all the ingredients that I used for the chai banana muffins, except for I'm not adding the wet ingredients, of course. So I'm going to be adding a 1/3 cup of sugar, a 1/3 cup of brown sugar, and I'm adding 1½ teaspoons of baking soda, 1 3/4 cups of flour, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/3 cup of the chai mix. Another thing that you can do with this chai spice mix is make cinnamon rolls. Now I'm using a basic cinnamon roll recipe for this, and I will link it in the description below for anybody that's interested in making this themselves. And these taste exceptionally delicious as well. Now you can make these any way that you want to make these. You can add as much sugar as you want to these. You can add whatever filling you want. You could add nuts. You could add like some pecans to this. This would be so delicious with some pecans for sure, because of all these nice spices. Or some toasted pecans would be really good, I bet. There is probably 1,000 different ways that you can make cinnamon rolls, and this is just one of the ways that I have made mine. Now, I should have used a bigger pan. I don't know what's up with me using smaller pans, smaller jars, but these still turned out very delicious, even though I had a small pan here. And you can put any type of icing on these that you want, or just eat them plain is good too. But these were just what I needed for the day, with a cup of chai tea. This was amazing. So now we're going to take a trip to Myers and see what kind of deals they had on some jars and some rice that I wanted to get for our long-term pantry storage. They did end up having the half-gallon, only two of the half-gallon mason jars. So I need to go somewhere else and find some more, because I really like these jars. And after searching around the rice section, we found that the best bang for our buck was this 20-pound bag of long grain rice for $12.49. And since we're, trying to work hard on our long-term pantry storage, this seemed like a pretty affordable price, for grocery store price anyway. We also found some bread that was on sale, so I went ahead and grabbed a 10-pound bag of the King Arthur unbleached flour. Now, one of the ways that I am preserving the white long grain rice is I'm going to be using these half-gallon jars here. And I really like these jars. I prefer vacuum sealing in jars rather than vacuum sealing in plastic. I mean, I still will use, the plastic to vacuum seal in, but this just makes everything so convenient. So, 20 pounds of enriched long grain rice. fit 6 half-gallon 64-ounce jars filled. Now I was gonna vacuum seal all 6 of these, but I figured that I would keep a few out and show you another method that I plan on using as well. And that's separating, weighing the rice out like in portions. And I'm using these brown paper lunch sacks, and I'm weighing them out at 2 pounds a piece. Then I'm going to vacuum seal them in a plastic bag. Now, if you've never used a vacuum sealer before, you just put your bag inside and then you turn it on to seal so that you can seal the bag, and that will heat up that part of the bag so that you can put stuff in it. See the seal? And now the way that I'm going to be doing this, now this is a really good method for flour. If you want to vacuum seal your flour, use these brown bags the way that I'm showing here. Instead of the rice, use the flour. I actually am going to be doing a lot of my flour this way because I think this will be more convenient for a long-term storage. That way, if I can just go grab it out of a tote and it'll be portioned out, I'll know how many pounds of flour are in there. And if I don't need a lot, I won't pull out a lot. So 2-pound bags for us is around the perfect size bags. If stored properly, your rice can last up to 10 years in a vacuum sealed bag or jar. Now, the last mix that I'm going to share with you guys is probably the simplest one of all that I've done so far, and that's an Aujus mix. And all you're going to need is some beef bouillon cubes, or you can even use beef instant bouillon like granules, the beef bouillon granules. The recipe is 4 tablespoons of beef bouillon, or 12 cubes, 4 teaspoons of onion powder, 4 teaspoons of parsley, 1/4 of a teaspoon black pepper, 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder, and 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. You're going to mix all this up in a blender until well combined. And when you go to use this, you're going to use 4.5 teaspoons of the mix to 2 cups of water. So this is equivalent to 1 packet of Aujus mix. And you're going to cook this over medium heat for 10 to 15 minutes until your desired thickness. And this is how it turns out. And I'd like to say thank you so much for everyone for stopping by and visiting our channel. And if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe if you like this content. These are some of the breads that I'm going to be working on, trying to perfect the recipes to share with everybody soon. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope that everyone has a very blessed day. Is that fascinating?
Yeah.
Yeah.